Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Barnes from New Jersey's Attorney General's Office. Welcome, and welcome as well to colleagues from Pennsylvania. The press conference is about to begin. Before we get started, just like to go over a little bit of housekeeping. First, we'll hear from Acting Attorney General of New Jersey, Andrew J. Bruck. We'll also hear from Pennsylvania's Attorney General, Josh Shapiro. Also on our roster today, we have Lindsay Rotolo, Director of New Jersey's Division on Criminal Justice, and from the New Jersey State Police. Speaking will be Major Frederick Fife, Deputy Branch Commander of the Investigations Branch of State Police. After the speakers have a chance to share their thoughts and insights, we'll have a brief Q&A. Given the number of speakers, if we keep that on topic, we'd certainly appreciate it. And we'll get started in just a minute. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are here today to announce the latest criminal charges in our ongoing effort to stop the flow of illegal, untraceable firearms into the state of New Jersey. A grand jury has returned a 5-count indictment against William Pilas, who we allege bought more than a dozen build-your-own firearm kits at a Pennsylvania gun show and transported them into New Jersey with the intent to build them here. According to the indictment, this wasn't a one-time thing. On the day of his arrest, we seized an AR-15 that he allegedly purchased at that Pennsylvania gun show and had already assembled in our state. Law enforcement, in addition, seized multiple large-capacity magazines and more than 400 rounds of ammunition. We may never know how these weapons would have been used or what sorts of violence might have ensued. And the reason that we won't is because of the exceptional work of the Pennsylvania Attorney General's Office, the New Jersey State Police, and our Division of Criminal Justice, who work together in order to bring charges in this important case. And my colleague, the Director of the Division of Criminal Justice, Lindsay Rotolo, will address some of the details in a moment. But this case highlights again the danger of ghost guns, which are proving increasingly popular in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, and across our country. As some of you know, ghost guns take advantage of a perceived loophole in federal law. There are folks who buy partially assembled firearms, believing that this exempts them from federal laws that require background checks and serial numbers on firearms. And perhaps unsurprisingly, that is exactly why these weapons are popular for folks who otherwise cannot obtain a firearm legally. We recognize this threat, which is why we are moving aggressively to tackle it. Just last month, Attorney General Shapiro and I were at a podium in Camden announcing our latest criminal charges in another case. We brought charges against 3 men who had allegedly trafficked 20 ghost guns into our state. And the month before that, we had announced our efforts working with the federal government in order to close that federal ghost gun loophole, and we look forward to continuing our work with the Biden administration and with the ATF to finalize rules that will address that. Look, gun violence is real, and it is affecting folks in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and across the country. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We are lucky in New Jersey. We have a governor and a legislature that recognize this threat, and they're willing to do something about it. It was just 3 years ago that Governor Murphy signed one of the first ghost gun bans in the country. And within months of that law being signed, we were using that tool in order to hold folks accountable. We use that tool again today, and we'll continue using that tool for however long is necessary until that threat is addressed. When we're given the tools to go after gun violence, we use it because that's our obligation to protect the safety of the people of New Jersey. And with that, I'll hand it over to my friend, Attorney General Josh Shapiro.
Thank you, General Bruck. It is good to be with you again, and I want to applaud you for your strong leadership here in the Garden State, and our partnership is something we in the Office of Attorney General are extremely proud of. You and your team do an outstanding job, and we're proud to work with you. And to that end, I just want to acknowledge some members of our team who are with us today. Chief Deputy Attorney General Brendan O'Malley, Deputy Attorney General Tracy Gatos, Chief John Kitzinger, and Deputy Chief John Malandra. These are names and faces of people who every single day are out working to keep our community safe, and they benefit from the partnership we have here in New Jersey. Of course, we're here today to talk about our collaboration with the New Jersey Attorney General's Office, to stop the flow of ghost guns from Pennsylvania into our neighboring states. The operation here that we are discussing stopped 14 ghost guns from getting on the streets and into the hands of criminals, as well as the recovery of 17 high-capacity magazines and AR-style ghost guns, because it's important to note they come in all different shapes and dangerous sizes. 640 rounds of ammunition and various other parts and tools and accessories can be used by criminals. This comes, as General Bruck said, on the heels of our joint announcement last month where we seized another 24 ghost guns, fully functioning ghost guns that started as 80% receiver kits in Pennsylvania, and then they were put together and sold on the streets of Camden. It's important to note that these guns are unserialized and these guns are untraceable, and far too often end up in the hands of criminals and people who could not pass a basic background check. Let me give you some data to back up the fact that these have become the weapon of choice for criminals and how dangerous they are, and their growth rate is truly astonishing. In Philadelphia alone, one of Pennsylvania's 67 counties, law enforcement has recovered 440 ghost guns in 2021 through last month. Back in 2018, just 3 short years ago, we recovered just 18 of these ghost guns. That dramatic increase is proof alone that these guns are fast becoming, as I said, the weapon of choice for criminals. These guns are a danger to public safety, and we in law enforcement are committed to stopping them from getting into the hands of violent criminals. The absurd question that Pennsylvanians face today, and I'm mindful, of course, that I'm standing in New Jersey citing this, is why the hell are violent felons even able to buy these guns legally on the other side of the Delaware River? Why are we letting these guns rush through a huge loophole that exists in Pennsylvania law and then fuel violence in our cities and in cities one bridge away in New Jersey? Why haven't lawmakers in Pennsylvania demonstrated the same kind of common sense that lawmakers and Governor Murphy have here in New Jersey by closing the ghost gun loophole? That's a question every Pennsylvanian needs to consider. The work to combat gun trafficking continues because our offices, the New Jersey State Police, local law enforcement, and federal agencies have built a strong relationship and a terrific partnership, and we've agreed to trust one another and collaborate. Sharing intelligence with neighboring states makes a big impact on keeping our local communities safe. And so it means when special agents from my office took notice of a box truck with New Jersey license plates carrying ghost guns into Passaic County, it means that our team could make a phone call and trust that we had a good partner on the other end of the line. I'm here today with Attorney General Bruck and his team because our offices will continue to collaborate and do this important work between our 2 states. This case also underscores the need for new laws, both at the federal level and especially in Pennsylvania, to stop violent criminals from getting their hands on these weapons. You may have noticed that the defendants in this case bought these weapons at an Eagle Arms sponsored gun show. Eagle Arms is the largest gun show promoter in Pennsylvania. You may recall that in March, we announced that Eagle Arms committed voluntarily to halting the sale of ghost gun kits at their show. Clearly, as time went on and the pressure mounted, that didn't work. And until the law is changed, no voluntary agreement is going to stop every sale every time. Our agents believe that a rogue retailer at Eagle Arms started reselling these polymer 80 jigs under the table after our voluntary agreement went into effect. And since these guns are still unregulated in Pennsylvania, some retailers have become more brazen in their conduct. There are hundreds of sellers at these shows, and while the vast majority are keeping up their end of the bargain and not putting these ghost guns into the hands of criminals, it's obviously not foolproof, and the laws need to change. I expect Eagle Arms to uphold the agreement they made with the Office of Attorney General and do its part to keep the public safe by more closely monitoring their shows and asking vendors who do not comply with this agreement and with these rules to go and do business elsewhere. But it's very clear, and this case highlights it again, that our laws need to change. If members of the Pennsylvania General Assembly refuse to change these laws, then I believe it's on everyday Pennsylvanians to do that for them and ask the question of their lawmakers, why do they want criminals to have easy access to these untraceable guns? Look, the vast majority of Pennsylvanians, including gun owners and gun dealers, they don't want convicted felons to get their hands on guns. And ghost guns are every bit as deadly of a firearm. And so they make every single one of our communities, from our biggest cities to our smaller towns, less safe every day that goes by that our lawmakers don't act to keep these guns out of the hands of criminals. We in the AG's office, and certainly my colleagues in New Jersey, are committed to enforcing the laws on the books and doing everything we can to stop these ghost guns. And we're going to keep holding individuals accountable. We're going to keep shutting down these trafficking networks when they violate our laws, and we're going to continue to work together on these types of operations. But make no mistake, our lawmakers need to step up in Pennsylvania and do more. Follow the clear conviction of Governor Murphy and lawmakers here in New Jersey who recognized the threat, who understood that keeping these ghost guns out of the hands of criminals would make us all less safe while not infringing on people's constitutional rights. And we need to slow down the easy access criminals have to these weapons, and that's going to require lawmakers to do more. I want to thank you all for your collective work. Our New Jersey and Pennsylvania law enforcement officials make us proud, and I want to now recognize Director Ruotolo for some further comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Shapiro. Appreciate that. Good morning. On September 11th of 2021, William Pilas of Lincoln Park, New Jersey, allegedly purchased over a dozen handgun kits from a gun show in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Pilas and his girlfriend, 21-year-old McKenna Sweeney, were observed storing items purchased at the gun show in the cargo area of their vehicle before leaving the venue's parking lot. They then traveled out of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and into the state of New Jersey, where they eventually stopped at a Home Depot in Totowa, where police searched their vehicle. As Acting Attorney General Bruck referenced, law enforcement seized several items from the vehicle. Those items included 13 handgun kits with ammunition, 13 polymer 80 boxes containing 9mm grips and trigger housing kits. These are subcompact firearm frames, none of which were serialized. 2 35-round magazines, 14 12-round magazines, and various firearm manufacturing tools. A subsequent search of Pilas's Morris County residence led to the seizure of these additional items: 1 unserialized AR-15 style 45 cal semi-automatic rifle, 2 30-round high-capacity AR-15 magazines, 3 AR-15 frames, handwritten handgun assembly instructions, and more firearms manufacturing tools. Further investigation revealed Pilas previously purchased the parts and components of an assault firearm from a Pennsylvania gun show, transported said parts into the state of New Jersey, where he allegedly built the untraceable AR-15 style firearm, also known as a ghost gun, that was seized from his residence on September 11th of 2021. These defendants face serious charges. Pilas is charged with second-degree unlawful possession of an assault firearm, third-degree purchasing firearm parts to manufacture untraceable firearms, third-degree possession of firearm without a serial number, and 2 counts of fourth-degree possession of large-capacity ammunition magazines. Sweeney is also charged with 1 count of fourth-degree possession of large-capacity ammunition magazines in connection with the 2 35-round magazines and 14 12-round magazines recovered from their vehicle. As I said, these are serious charges. Second-degree charges carry a sentence of 5 to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $150,000. Third-degree charges carry a sentence of 3 to 5 years in state prison with a fine of up to $15,000. And fourth-degree charges carry a state prison sentence of up to 18 months with a fine of up to $10,000. With this indictment, we are sending a strong message to criminals looking to transport kits from neighboring states into our state. We know you are out there, we will find you, and we will bring you to justice using New Jersey's tough gun laws. We will continue to work together in order to stop the flow of dangerous weapons into our state, reduce gun violence, and hold those who break the law accountable. Through this highly effective collaboration, we will continue our efforts to halt the illicit flow of lethal firepower into our communities. Thank you, and at this time, I would like to invite my colleague, Major Frederick Fife of the New Jersey State Police, to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Good morning. I serve as the Deputy Branch Commander of Investigations, and I'm here today representing Colonel Patrick Callahan. I think we would all agree that the Hudson and Delaware rivers do not serve as boundaries for those that peddle misery that is often inclusive of ghost guns and the deadly opioid known as fentanyl. But what we can do is we can form these, and what we have done is form these unbreakable partnerships with the NYPD, with the Philadelphia Police Department, and our colleagues here from Pennsylvania. Specifically, I'd like to thank the Attorney General Shapiro for the partnership with Chief of Investigations John Kitzinger, his deputy John Melandra, have really been tremendous partners during your term, sir. Last year to date in New Jersey, 176 ghost guns have been seized. More than 25% of them have been forensically linked to shooting hits, a significant increase from non-ghost guns. It remains a priority, and it remains something the New Jersey State Police will continue to focus on. In closing, the last couple of years, we've had the opportunity to participate in the Attorney General Shapiro's Gun Violence Task Force Award ceremony in Philadelphia. And what that has done is a couple things. One, it has built a sense of camaraderie, but I think even more importantly, it's built a sense of teamwork and sharing best practices. So as we move forward at Colonel Callahan's direction, under Attorney General Bruck's leadership, we'll continue to relentlessly follow up. We'll be precisely aware, we'll police precisely, and we'll focus on precision prosecution. Thank you. Barring any questions, I'll turn it over to Attorney General Bruck. Thank you.
Thank you, Major. That was very well said. And look, I mean, it goes without saying that this sort of work is only possible because of the incredibly strong partnerships that have been in place for a while, and it's because of the real trust that exists between the law enforcement organizations that are standing up here today. It's what happens when you have folks who care about the work, they don't care about the credit, they just care about making their communities safer. Before we take questions, I want to recognize the folks who actually did the work to make this case possible. I want to recognize folks from the New Jersey State Police and the Division of Criminal Justice, in addition to the folks from Pennsylvania that A.G. Shapiro has already acknowledged. From State Police, I want to recognize Superintendent Colonel Patrick Callahan, Lieutenant Colonel Fritz Frage, Major Fred Fife, Captain Larry Williams, and Detective Konopka. From the Division of Criminal Justice, in addition to Director Rotolo, we had working on this Deputy Director Anne Marie Taggart, Deputy Attorneys General Lauren Yafantis, Cynthia Vasquez, and Zim Bashkami. We're incredibly grateful for all the work that they did, working long hours, working long nights, in order to make this case possible. So with that, we'll take any questions that folks have that are on topic. Easy peasy. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. Have a good one.